I go by the name of Yefe, Big 604, class is in session. I want to introduce you all to the urban scholar himself, Yusuf. Class in session.
Class is in session, yeah. Class is in session. Class is in session. Ask me a question. Class is in session. Class is in session. Class is in session. Ask me a question. It gets massive in seconds. I'm on task with the message. We gon' talk about the past and the present. Hey, ask me a question. Yeah, these facts be the weapons. Ask me a question. Yeah, class is in session. Class is in session. Class is in session. Ask me a question. Class is in session. Class is in session. Class is in session. Ask me
a question. Welcome, class in session. It's your favorite host, the Urban Scholar. Welcome to today's Urban Report. Today's Urban Report, what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about actually what I do outside of the podcast in real life, and why I actually started the podcast is all related to what I do and what I've been doing for a long time. So we're going to talk about me being a life coach and how you can obtain my services. So that's today's Urban Report. I've been basically working with youth and adults since the mid-90s. Yes, we're going back for some of you youngsters. So one of the reasons why I even got into this business of helping people was because I grew up kind of unsupervised. And you guys always hear me reflect about my childhood because everything I do is personal. The business, everything, my mission is all based from my life story with Urban Scholar Gear, Urban Scholar Music Group. So one of the reasons why I do life coaching is because I think about the times that I was hanging out in the streets and there was no real adults there. It was just me and my friends, and we were just doing, family members, we were just doing whatever we were doing. And there was nobody there to kind of guide us. You know, we saw a lot of gang activity and stuff like that. And there was this one brother who still, struggling in the game, but he was influential in keeping me out of joining gangs. So I decided when I was about, in my early 20s, I decided I want to kind of talk to kids and maybe mentor them and work with them and talk with them about some of their personal struggles at home and school and life, their emotions. So I started working in residential programs. I started working with this mentoring program where I was going into people's homes, working with their adolescent kids, and they were fighting cases. Guys were fighting gun charges, juveniles. They were fighting, they were stealing cars, they were doing so many different things. And, I could relate to that, not because I did those things, but because I came from that environment. So it was very important for me. I felt like, man, what if they had somebody like me who been out there in those streets and kind of know how to maneuver in those streets? So I just started working with that population, and I never stopped. So fast forward, I've jumped in and out of working with adults, working with juveniles, and my passion are youth, because they're the future, and that's a real cliche, right? But it's the truth. And for me, I feel like with adults lack the capacity to change. They have it, but they lack it because the older a person gets, they become more entrenched into who they are, and they become so connected to it, they can't detach themselves from it. They can't see anything else. They can't see themselves evolving into anything else because they're afraid of what's on the other side of that change. So the adults make excuses to remain who they are. And I don't have time for that. That's not my preference. Because you're really not when you become an adult, you don't really change that much. You might change your mojo, your movement, but you don't really change. And people do a lot of talking, but they're not doing no real internal, structural change. There's nothing going on in the core. The core is where it's at. And your core is where you hold all that trauma, all those bad situations you weathered, like your core. Everything's right there. All that bad stuff that happened to you, all the good things, right? And a lot of people don't know how to undo that, right? So I got into this business because I wanted to help people, and I became very successful in every capacity that I worked in, coaching and counseling kids. Fast forward, went to school. When I was 35, went to grad school, Lincoln University. Shout out to LU, Lincoln University. Yeah, we number one, we the first, right? And it was an experience, man. Like taking my experience and applying it to the classroom, man, was incredible. Doing a thesis, 200-page thesis, and I focused on gang violence in this country and working with those kids who were in gangs in Trenton and Camden and Newark and all these places, man. It was an amazing experience. Plainfield, Brunswick. It was just amazing. So this is my passion. This is who I am. It's what I do. If I had to choose a way to make a living, this would be it. That's how passionate I am about doing what I do. Class is back in session. We had a technical issue, but we're back. So we were talking about my journey at Lincoln University and going back to grad school, right? And a lot of people ask me about my school experience. And what a lot of people don't know is I don't have undergrad. There is no undergrad. And the reason for it being is that I had demonstrated, there was a program at Lincoln University where I demonstrated that my experience and my education as far as my employment, what I've learned in those environments, I qualified for that particular master's program to get my human service degree and also a concentration in counseling. So we studied ethics, systems, oh man, and it was so many other areas and counseling. It changed me. I was never the same. It was during that period we birthed the Urban Scholar, and it's important because everything I do in terms of my business and my ventures is all related to me and my story. So there's a connection between every venture, and hence why they're all called Urban Scholar. But I decided with the podcast that I wanted to do something a little different, right? A little something unique, to come up with a name that reflected Urban Scholar. In Class and Session, Urban Scholar, they married each other very well. So let's fast forward. So this is an urban report. So we're going to wrap this up. So if you want me to coach you, right? Because I do coaching. I don't do counseling anymore. We're out of that capacity. I've been doing what I've been doing for years. I've managed psychiatrists. I've managed master's level therapists. I've run programs. I've done it all. Worked in residential, worked in government, the state. And one of the things I like to do is help people transform and help people address their issues. And I'm very, very good at what I do. And some people sometimes reach out to me and they think that they want my services. So let me explain to you about my services. I pick who I want to work with, and I also assess. So I have to assess you. So we do an initial session, right? And of course it costs money, right? And I have to assess that you're ready. Because a lot of people talk and they're not really ready to walk. Let me say this again. A lot of people talk, but they're not ready to walk. So today, what this message is, if you're serious and you're at a point in your life where there's an absolute certainty that you're ready to change and transform and work on your past trauma and your issues and achieve something, and you want to create your blueprint for success, if you absolutely think that you're 100% ready, I'll even take you at 90%. Then I'll take you as a client. But understand, I've been in this game for a long time. I've been on the concrete, and I've been in the classroom, and I've been in boardrooms. I have an extensive business background. So you get a package that you're not going to get anywhere else. I've been part of sports ventures where I was on the owning side. I was part of a ownership group where we had a league, and that league still exists, but I'm no longer a part of that venture. And that'll be a podcast for another day. But if you really feel like it's something that you're really ready to do, I am willing to take on a few clients because this is a lot of work. But when you're done, you'll have a 10-year plan and you have a crystal clear blueprint that you can look at every day and you can know exactly what you want in all areas of life, your personal growth, your personal relationships, your health and fitness, spiritual reality, your religion, and, career or business, whatever it is, whatever areas you want to focus on, we'll create values in those areas. And, if you go on my YouTube, right, Class in Session podcast, it's on YouTube. You'll be able to see the videos that I have. They call the 7 frames. I require you to watch those videos. So go to our YouTube Class in Session podcast and watch the 7 frames. Because if you contact me stating that you want my services, I'm going to quiz you and question you about those videos. Did you watch them? Because they'll prepare you for our first initial session. This is your favorite host. Remember, the future's urban scholar. And that's another 5 minutes.